You know what's funny? Is that literally this episode's startup point is karma's a bitch term. Because last episode's end credit scene had Kisaki all confident, feeling like he's got shit covered even though things didn't turn out how he thought. And this episode, he gets fired. Oh man, I love it. I love it when karma kicks the villains in the ass. But to start things off, basically, they have their first meeting, since it's the new year, for them. And they basically discuss with the rest of Tomon what had happened. Hakai apologizes. The two black dragons are basically telling that all of the black dragons from the now 11th generation are heading into Takemichi's division because, well, they have their reasons. And lastly, Mikey basically just says to Kisaki, "You're fired." He just says, "I'm kicking you out, you're expelled." But I think if he said "you're fired" would have been much more hilarious. Still hilarious seeing his reaction of just dumbfounded and confused. And Hanma basically threatening that if Kisaki is kicked out, well, he leaves. And yeah, Mikey doesn't give a shit. If anything, why the fuck does Mikey need 450 men? He alone can literally take on 20,000 men, considering how fucking strong he is. Anyway, if last episode was the calm, this episode is basically preparing for the storm. Because throughout this episode, we definitely have Takemichi reflecting on everything. He succeeded. He saved Taiju, made sure he didn't get killed, they beat the Black Dragons, and Kisaki and Hanma were kicked out of Tomon. So everything should be good. That's what one would assume, logically would assume. He says his goodbye to Chifuyu. He basically gives Baji's last words to Mikey. And even prior to him leaving, he got some bike lessons from Mikey, which was extremely wholesome, as well as Mikey explaining about the engines, the two engines his brother had found, which will be a key component at this location. Keep that in mind. Takemichi takes a nice photo with the group, since he doesn't think he'll ever see them again, at least the past versions. And as he goes back to the future, he meets with someone that knows him, and eventually everything clicks that this is a funeral. He's no longer in jail. He succeeded in changing the timeline. But he's now in Mitsuyu's funeral. What the fuck? That's his reaction. It's just complete shock that somehow the future is just getting worse. This is a lot shorter than expected because, I mean, the important key points are just Kisaki getting kicked out, Mikey and Takemichi bonding because their friendship is a big key in the entire series, as well as obviously Takemichi returning to the future as implied by the title of the episode. I mean, it's pretty neat seeing Kisaki just in fear, though I will criticize the way they kind of did the thing of kind of showing a few things of what like connects to this moment. Though the one thing that is cool is Kisaki telling Mobius's leader about his role and how it is reflective having the moon behind Kisaki, eventually all the clouds clouding in, and him representing the darkness. As he says, he's the darkness of Tomon. He'll be the one to take over, hold all that darkness. So, as shown, it shows more evidence how dark and evil Kisaki is. Completely different to what Takemichi is. But overall, the episode was pretty good.